Over the past years, I've produced thousands of creatives across different industries, scaled brands across Europe and the US, and one thing became very clear. Most ads don't fail because of targeting. They fail because of the creative weakness. And in 2026, this is even more extreme. Meta is no longer deciding who to show your ads to first, it's actually deciding which ads deserve to be shown, alright? So if your creatives are not strong, nothing else really matters. I'm Bernhard, founder of the Adgency based in Austria, Europe. We deliver hundreds of ads every single week for some of the biggest D2C brands in the Europe and US. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to create meta ads in 2026, step by step, so you can build ads that actually perform and scale. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, you need to understand your customers or your potential customers. We don't talk about creative strategy anymore. We talk about persona-based creative strategy. And how do you actually understand who your customer is? You do research. And there are many ways on how you can research your customers or potential customers. You can go through Reddit, you can go through reviews of your own, you can go through own conducted post-purchase service, you can go through customer support tickets, you can ask your customer success managers. If you have a retail store, you go to the people in the retail store and ask them, what are people actually talking to you? What are chatting with you about, right? So you actually understand who your target audience is. And I know, what should you do with a post-purchase service or reviews? So how do you actually get a target audience out of them, right? I'm just gonna show you like an example on how we do it. So you take the PPS, you throw it into Claude, you tell them, hey, look, here's a lot of information. I wanna make a creative strategy for my brand XYZ. Please make 2 to 3 personas out of that, analyze them, and give me the personas, the demographics, and the psychographics of them. And for this brand here, for example, we did this whole process, we got a document, and this document is pretty good for us because we can then reuse it every time. And then we understand, for example, this is now in German. This basically says the blemish fighter, right? She is 35 to 54, she's a woman. Her issues are like your main problems are she's getting red in her skin, she has rosacea, right? And basically she has inflammations in her skin. She tried a lot of things, right? But nothing really helped. Now she's really like looking for this one cream that finally helps. That's her motivation. She basically discovered the brand on Instagram through ads, socials, influencers, and so on, right? So we actually now know, okay, this is like a persona that we could actually start working with, okay? And you need to really conduct that. I can also like show you creatives that we did. For example, here for the shoe brand, we wanted to actually target mothers who have children, obviously, right? And we want to show it into the copy and also within the visuals, right? But those are like talked about later on. But you can basically see that you can pretty immediately see who you're gonna target here. And for example, here for this hiking shoe, we're targeting people who are hiking. So we're showing it visually, right? With the product and with the images that we're providing. So you really need to understand who you're targeting to and who you're talking to, because messaging and visuals that match your messaging are so important. Be obsessed with the people you wanna sell to, because then selling gets easier. Let's go to the point 2 that you need to do afterwards. So when you have your base, like when you understand who you want to target and who you want to talk to, you can create static ads and you can create UGCs. Let's talk about the more complex things, which is a UGC, okay? You need to understand who your target audience is. Then you're looking for people, for content creators or models, if you do it internally, who match your target audience visually, right? Their appearance, because then they're gonna see themselves in the mirror, basically. So when you have that, you have to do strong scripts. And basically a script usually follows an order, right? There are different orders that a script can follow, but one of the most common and bulletproofs is have a strong hook that gets your attention in the first 1 to 3 seconds. Have a problem and make it relatable. For example, if we go back to the shoe image that we just saw, right? We wanted to talk to mothers who are going out with their children, playing on the playground through muddy weather, whatever, and they just want to throw those shoes into the washing machine, get them out 3 hours later, and have them nice and clean the next day and dry, right? That's their daily life, that's their issue. They don't want to walk around with dirty shoes, get a lot of shoes just to have like a clean pair of shoes, and they definitely don't have the time to do it manually by hand, right? So that's their problem, and we're gonna relate to it. We're gonna show them our shoe, right, which is just perfect for it. You can just throw it in a washing machine, get them out, and that's it. And then we also like tell them some benefits they're gonna have with it. You're gonna save time with it, you're gonna save money with it. That time you're gonna save, you can spend with your children. The time, the money that you save, you're gonna spend on other things, and so on and so on and so on. And then in the end, you need to have a very simple CTA. so a hook, a problem, solution, a benefit, and a strong CTA. Let's look at one UGC we actually did for that brand. So everything starts with a strong hook. In the strong hook, we're immediately calling out the people we want to target. And we're basically saying here, I always hated running, all right? Running means people who either run or want to run, right? And then in the same second, in the same frame, we're basically saying with this UGC, we're calling out the problem, right? Because my feet are getting heavy and it just pains me a lot. I have sweaty feet and it just doesn't make fun when everything hurts, all right? So then we're like jumping to the solution, which is the product. So then I found the Gieswein Speed. And then we're seeing her basically being happy and running. And we're basically saying, hey, this shoe is so light, it's so comfortable, it doesn't hurt. And now I finally have fun again. We underline that with her being happy, right, and running around. And then we're saying, hey, there's a small bonus, like your feet won't smell anymore, right? Which is like a bonus shoe. And in the end, there's like a very simple CTA, right? So this is basically how you do it. And you can transfer basically all of that to a static image. One of the most important parts and one of the biggest issues I see with most brands or other marketers is you do so much research. You're looking for so many different creators. You talk with them, you find a deal with them on how you're gonna pay them, and so on and so on and so on. Then you do a body, right? And then basically you're just creating one or two hooks. Then the creative maybe dies and you're just thinking, oh, well, didn't perform, let's move on, right? And so you're like busting through a lot of budget, time, resources, and so on. And basically what you should focus on and what you always should have, you need to have 5 to 10 hooks, because just one hook can completely change the outcome of your concept, of your idea that you try to bring to life, okay? We did that mistake many years ago where we did all this work and just had like 1 or 2 hooks, instead have like 7 to 10 hooks with a messaging testing where we're actually trying a lot of different things to really hook the right people and hook as much as possible to just like get this performance through the roof. So have a lot of hook variation, all right? So the thing is, so if the hook fails, that is that. None will see how well the video actually could work, what problem you're solving, or how quality your product is. So basically you need to have a strong hook. Otherwise, all this post editing and writing scripts, etc., will just be like a waste of time. I'm gonna show you here on how we are doing it. Basically, we have in Claude, we have a project. It's like UGC script writing skill for Gieswein. We have a brand DNA document, right? So a brand DNA document is basically we're analyzing a brand that we're onboarding. We have a document that explains what to do and how to analyze it. So you can see here, you're a senior strategist, consumer psychologist, a marketing researcher, and so on and so on. All right. Look for Amazon, Trustpilot, and so on. And then we're basically putting in our brand in here, and then it's analyzing it. And then we have a brand context document, all right, which basically explains the brand. Okay. Then when we go back, we have a skill, a UGC script writer framework. How you can make your own framework is very easy. Go to the ad library or look for big brands like Grüns, Jones Road, Rich Wallet, I don't know, IM8, AG1. Look for UGCs that are running pretty long, all right? And then get those videos into Claude, for example, and let it analyze it. Tell Claude, hey, please analyze the structure of it and make a UGC skill out of it, a copywriting skill that I can use for a project to then replicate the structure of the script for my own product. And that's basically what we did here. And then in the end, we can basically say, hey, look, let's write a UGC for following product. Let's go with a general audience, right? If we don't want to go niche and we're going to be very generic, which is also fine. We did it here. It asks me question. I'm telling you, if you have questions, ask me, right? So it goes through everything and comes up with different concepts. And then we have UGCs that we can actually work through. All right. So we have hook variations. We have the problem part, the discovery part, the proof part, an emotional payoff, and so on and so on and so on. Right. So this is already how we are using it internally with project. The same thing is with static headline copywriting. We have again instructions on how to use the project. We are having our brand context document that we actually conducted previously. And then we are having basically a comprehensive context document for static headlines, basically how you're writing static headlines, right? And then we're using it. No worries, there is not too much in it because we're already working. I think I can show you. We're already working with an own tool that we generated to generate different static headline concepts with templates and so on. And this is how we do it, right? So for example, in our own tool, as you can see, we're basically having the training training data with personas, products, angles, references, writing skills, and so on that we're using to generate a lot of different and own briefings. All right, so let's go to the next point, the visual targeting. So when we're conducting, right, when we're doing static ads or when we're doing UGC ads, one of the most important thing is not only the copy, the messaging is right, but also the visual is right? If I'm a football player and I want to talk to football players, right, I most probably won't gonna have a restaurant setting, right? I'm gonna be on the pitch. And when I'm talking to mothers, I'm gonna be maybe more playful, showing children, as here, for example, showing like all those clothes that needs to be washed. We're gonna show like a dirty shoes and a clean shoe, right? And so on. If we're talking about hiking, you're gonna see here, we're talking about hiking, all right? When we go to Jones Road and we're gonna talk about older people, we're gonna show older people. If we're talking about dark circles, we're gonna show dark circles, right? Before and after, and so on. So it's very, very important that whatever we're doing messaging wise, we also have to do visually, and they have to work together, because then everything gets much stronger. Then let's go to point 5, creatives. I'm a creative agency and I'm being very transparent and honest. Creatives are getting a commodity. It probably has never been more easier for everyone to have a certain level of furthermore quality creative output, but also like a lot of volume. And volume is so important. We have to push our volume. It just doesn't cut it anymore to like launch 5 ads per week, right? You really have to push it. And you can very easily push it through like, small tweaks in your process. Instead of doing 2 hooks, you're doing 7 hooks, all right? Instead of having 1 body, you have 2 bodies, right? It's just like your cutter just needs a little bit more time, but you have much more output. Same goes with statics. You have a new concept. You want to talk to, for example, business women 45 plus, but you don't have assets for it. Use Gemini, Nano Banana, use some AI tool to generate it. What we're doing, we're using FreePic, for example. I mean, I can show you some stuff out my team is actually doing. For example, let's talk about Jones Road here, right? So we can go into view all and just see what one of my team did today. We've been talking about traveling here, so we're probably doing a traveling concept here. You can see that my team actually generated the miracle bomb of Jones Road on a suitcase with like a passport and a coffee, right? Something that really like traveling, right? We wouldn't have those assets, so we're just generating it, right? And obviously not every generated asset is perfect, but you just regenerate them, right? And we really love to use FreePic. We need a model. We want to show like the shades of the product. We're generating it, and you probably don't gonna see that this is AI, right? And it's so easy. We're like on a subscription that costs $39, and we can generate as much images as we want. And the cool thing is, if we have an image that we like, we can turn it into a video with Kling 2.6 or the new Seedream 2.0. So it's very easy, right? So volume has never been easier. Then we're coming to winning formulas in 2026. So obviously UGCs. And for UGCs, you have to be authentic, right? It's so important. UGCs are like in the space for the past 4 years. So people on social media just understand what UGCs are. So you need to be very native. And the better you understand your customer persona, from point 1, if you remember, the better you can cast your right creators, the better you understand their daily lives of your customers, the better you can write a script which basically mirrors the daily life of your customers. And that makes it as a total much easier to make authentic content, right? And this is so important. Statics. Push volume to statics. It's so easy to create nice statics, from high quality to ugly ads that you take with your phone just like in the next minute, right? Statics are so overrated because everyone was so focused on UGCs and high productions that statics are just like crushing it, all right? Also, what I believe is like sometimes just take your phone and record yourself. Like simple product demos. Hey, look, I'm drinking 5 Cokes a day. I just found Water Drop, a small cube with 10 vitamins in it. It basically tastes like a Coke, but it has 0 sugar, has 10 vitamins in it, and I drink water. I just put it into my water bottle. It dissolves in the next 10 minutes, and I can just like drink a ton of water without like missing the taste of the Coke, right? And it can be so easy. Just do that, be very native. So simple product demos are very important. What is like a little bit of a secret, and we see that format crushing, especially here in the German speaking countries, are long form video content. Like really videos where we're talking 2 to 3 minutes from authority position, all right? So someone really like who is a doctor or maybe who is talking about diet and stuff like that. People who are supposed experts and explaining a product, explaining why your product has a unique mechanism, why it works, because there are so many sources of fiber. That's why poppy is the best, and so on and so on. And that are then leading on a pre-sale page, on an editorial page, right? This is actually crushing. Then one of the most important things that I often get as a question, how do we actually come up with ideas? And yes, that's a hard question actually, but it's pretty simple, right? So the first thing that I would do is just go into the ads library and check out what big brands do. You can either go to the ads library or you can go to Atria. We're using Atria, and you basically can filter, go through. I mean, I can show you, right? It's like so simple to navigate through it. While I'm opening it up, you can go to Pinterest, see what are people using there. You can just like open up TikTok or Instagram and just like scroll through your feed, and every time when you're like doing that and do doom scrolling, screenshot the images and post it into a Slack channel, have an own album on your phone where you're saving that, share it in a WhatsApp group, whatever. And so if you go to Atria, for example, and we go to Inspos and we go to Inspirations, I mean, you can go through industries and say, I don't know, I want to go through, let's say, fitness. And then I basically see like a ton of ads that I can go through. And the cool thing is, if I, for example, have this static ad here, I could copy it, go to Claude, or I can do to Pinterest, see a pretty nice ad on Pinterest. I could basically use that image. I mean, let's do it together. So I'm, for example, typing in running shoes, and I see this here, and I really like this. So I can copy that one, can go to Claude and basically tell Claude, hey Claude, please write me a prompt for Nano Banana 2 that analyzes this image, because I would like to make this image with my own product. Ignore everything else like text on this product, just explain this image in a prompt. You could do that probably a little bit nicer overall, and I just like let it analyze it. All right, here's the prompt. So what you can do is basically take that prompt, you go to FreePick, you go to the image generator, put in the prompt, then you can put in your product. Then you're basically just saying you don't want to have auto model, but you rather want to have the good Nano Banana 2, and it just generated. That's the way how you can basically do your own static ads if you find inspiration. Okay, and then point 8, what most people get wrong. Okay, many times people start with gut feelings. They want to be like just fast, but it just doesn't work fast. Do your research, really. Start with your research. If you have a good research, a good understanding about your customer audience, everything will get easier. Making ads too generic is also an issue, right? You have to talk to someone, right? You're talking to a woman who has hormonal breakouts in her skin. She's 55, maybe she has her menopause currently. The more specific you get, the more relatable you get, right? You're not testing enough variations. You have one headline with 3 backgrounds. You have 2 hooks with 1 body. This just doesn't work anymore, right? And stop overcomplicating things. Be straightforward, right? Be lean, create a lean project, and just be like very straightforward. And point 9, how we're doing it, basically, I just explained everything to you. So we're starting with a research through all those different data sources, post-purchase survey, reviews, comments under our ads. We're checking competitors' reviews, competitors' ads with their comments. We're asking success management. We're checking through tickets that we have. We put everything into Claude. We're generating a brand document. We're generating personas based on all these reviews that we're generating, those PPS that we're having. When we have a good understanding about 2 to 3 personas, we're starting with creating static ads, either with assets we're getting from the brand or with generating assets ourselves, as I just showed you with the suit case that you saw. Then we're like launching them. We're gonna see what messaging is working good. We're putting more resources into messaging that works to generate UGC content with creators that are suiting the customer persona that we're having, with a lot of hooks to have like this volume, right? And then we're basically testing, iterating, and we're always like, as soon as we find something that works, we're pushing it. And then when we feel, okay, we somehow hit a ceiling, we're looking for net new customer personas, right? Because oftentimes your product is a solution for a very specific problem, but hormonal breakouts, for example, can be different for women after her menopauses, like 45, 40 plus, can be different for someone who's in puberty, can be different for someone who currently is expecting a baby, right? One product, one solution to hormonal breakouts, but 3 different personas that you have to communicate different to, right? So this is like the whole magic, and you just have to push content, right? So if you take one thing away from this video, meta ads in 2026 are creative driven, okay? So if your creatives are strong, the platform works for you and will basically help you achieve your goals. And if they're not, nothing else will really fix it, all right? And everything I showed you here is exactly what we do inside our agency, all right? Research, concept, production, iteration, UGC, static, testing, media buying, and so on. And we operate across Europe and the US in German and English and Spanish, and we handle the full creative process from ideation to production to scaling. So if you're a brand spending over 50K a month on ads and you want this system applied to your account, scan the QR code on screen or click the first link in the description and book a call with us. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment. I'll see you in the next video.